I'm Craig Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact, focused on personal growth, my workbook series, The Knowledge, will help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And in this video, we're going to be talking to you about get your confidence back after a breakup.
We know that confidence is one of the first things to go after a breakup. We just get so down on ourselves.
Yeah.
Before we get into it, I did want to say that Craig and I are available for coaching sessions. So if you are interested on talking about your situation one-on-one with either of us, you can head to the website and book from there.
Yep.
I am really excited about this topic because I think it is so important to regain that sense of self after a breakup.
Yeah, because when somebody ends the relationship, it really makes us feel unlovable. Like there's something wrong with us. We feel kind of like in shock. Like, how could this person just leave me? Right? Like, I thought I meant more to them. I thought our relationship meant more. And you just don't understand how or why they could walk away. And it just makes you feel awful about yourself. Now, many of you are in situations where your ex actually gave you a list of complaints and said you did this wrong and you did that wrong and I'm leaving you because of this and because of that, and all those things pile up and you just feel worse and worse and worse, and then you start to think about all those things. I did this and I did that and I didn't listen to her and I didn't care about how she felt, and all these things come up and then you just feel awful. So we're going to talk about this today and how to start to feel better about yourself after and become more confident again.
Right, and we do think that you can get to a place where you feel empowered after a breakup, and I will even be bold enough to say that I believe that you can get to a place where you feel even more empowered than you did before this relationship.
Without a doubt. I mean, if you do the work, there's no doubt you'll be way better off than when you started.
And most of us, right after a breakup, we have the tendency to beat ourselves up. You know, that's part of our human thinking. It's our fault. It's part of our upbringing a lot of times. You know, when we think about us being reprimanded as children, you know, we see things in that light of, oh, it must be my fault. Oh, I must have caused this. And so after a breakup, that's something that happens a lot. And we start to dig deeper into the meaning of that. Does that mean that we're incapable of having a relationship? Does that mean that we're incapable of making it work with someone? And that can be a really terrifying thought. You know, you start to think about your behavior in a relationship as who you are and as absolute. Yes, I made these mistakes, and that's because I am a terrible person. That's because I am a terrible partner, and I will never be a good partner. So sometimes we can make these overgeneralizations about ourselves based off of our negative thinking after a breakup.
Yeah, and those things simply are not true. You can make changes in your behavior. In fact, most of what people are attracted to is the confident behavior. And so if you start to replace the negative behaviors that turn people off and replace them with confident behaviors, you will see a huge difference in who's attracted to you. And people that you never thought would date you or be interested will absolutely be interested. But it's not easy because many of you have grown up in homes where things were very negative. Maybe your parents were really strict. Maybe they were neglectful. Maybe they used to make you feel bad about yourself, who you were, like a failure, like you weren't living up to their expectations, and you grew up with a lot of hurt and embarrassment and shame. And those things are so difficult to overcome because they're, in many ways, in your unconscious, and they almost become a part of your thinking, like this inner critic that Margaret used to talk about. The critic is just there and is constantly telling us these negative things. So you have this mom in your head you know, this anxious mom, especially Jewish people and Italian, I had the Italian mom, right? And your mom was Italian.
Yeah, my mom's Italian.
Yeah, so they're very strong, right? It's like you can hear their voice in your head criticizing you.
Yeah.
Putting you down, and maybe they see it as tough love. I'm just telling you the way that it is, so you know so you toughen up, right? But it doesn't make you toughen up. It actually makes you feel worse.
Right. And there is also a thing about angry fathers too. There's a lot of men who hold a lot of deep-seated rage and resentment and anger. I know that's a big statement, but
my mom married those men.
We do see it. We do see it often, and sometimes it can be parents lamenting, people lamenting. My mom would always say, "Oh, don't lament," when you complain, and you kind of repeat these things over and over again. "Oh, people are so stupid. Oh, I can't believe this person would do this to me," and they're just an imbecile, or they're an idiot, or they're this, or they're that. So you were hearing this growing up as children, and as kids, we absorb everything. Our brain just takes in everything.
Yeah.
So those things become almost like mantras that we adopt. And sometimes you will see adults start to lament in the way that their parents did.
Yeah.
People just don't know how to control themselves, and people can't drive, and people can't do anything right. And so this becomes part of your script, and this can be really hard to break. But it does affect your own confidence, because often we start to look at ourselves in that light. Am I part of the people that are annoying my parents? That's what you think as a kid. Like, I don't want to add more burden to my parents. It must be my fault, and creates a lot of issues internally for that kid.
Yeah. So you may have this mindset that if you're tough on yourself, it's going to motivate you to change, but actually usually makes it worse. Because then a lot of times you aren't living up to your expectations and these demands that you're putting on yourself, these magical demands that you're expecting yourself to meet, and then you wind up getting depressed and feel awful because you're not living up to these demands that you've put on yourself. And instead of pushing harder to be better, you start to internalize the negative stuff and believe it, and then you just kind of spiral and get worse.
And, I do see this in clients a lot too, that if I am mean to myself, I can be so mean that I will, motivate myself to get better. And I think actually Brene Brown, she talks about shame a lot. She's an incredible resource if you haven't heard of her.
We've talked about her before.
She talks about, you can't shame yourself into progression. She says something along those lines, that you can't use shame and guilt and all these negative feelings to transform you into this like magnificent person. It's more of, okay, let's see if we can look at these parts of ourselves with non-judgment. Can we do that? It's a really hard thing to do. And we as adults, it is possible to undo and rewire that wiring from childhood, those things that we were talking about, those scripts that we've developed. It is possible, and that's because of how amazing our brains are. It's because of neuroplasticity. Big word to say, our brains can change and form even as adults. And there's more and more research out there showing that, that even adult brains can change.
Absolutely.
So this is something that's super important. And there's actually an exercise in our creative healing course that goes through part of this, where we have you list out the scripts, the messages that you've heard in childhood, and write out the opposites of those things. So there are resources and tools out there that can help. Of course, Creative Healing Course is one that we've developed and that we promote. But these types of interventions can really help in rewiring your brain. Along with affirmations, positive self-talk, something that Margaret would talk about all the time.
We have 10 different audio affirmations in the Creative Healing Course too. 3 with you, 3 with Margaret, and 4 with me, right?
Yeah.
Because we're trying to replace, the negative with positive, and, the art therapy activities and the homework assignments, all the different things and activities in there to really try and help you process things that are going on within you that you don't even bring to the surface or think about.
Yeah, exactly. And working with clients that are particularly downtrodden, the clients who have heard these things throughout a lifetime and have really internalized these negative messages, sometimes it can be hard to say, oh yeah, I'm going to just say an affirmation and say how great I am and how great I'm going to become. You got to start somewhere. You got to start somewhere. And with clients who are really, really depressed, even just imagining something better can be helpful. It would be nice if I had a friend. It would be nice if, I was able to go outside today and go for a walk. You know, you don't have to say that you are this amazing person or you're going to accomplish these great things if those seem so detached from where you're at right now. But starting somewhere, and it can be anywhere. You could even say, you know, something along the lines of, I think one day I could let someone in. You know, just having that little bit of future thinking, that little bit of things could be better, can be something that's helpful. And making a healthy habit out of it. You know, consistency with everything, even those types of positive self-messages. And that's something that's hard because we might start a day or two, we might have a Post-it note on our mirror for a day or two, and then a week later,
off.
Right, we forget about it. You know, we get into our routine, and then we find ourselves lamenting again. We find ourselves, you know, kind of going back to that same script. So use all the resources and tools as you need, you know, and try to stay as consistent as you possibly can. And this type of thinking actually encourages you to do better. You know, rather than being mean to yourself and saying, oh, I messed up so much, you know, that should push me to do better. Being able to say, okay, there is a better path forward, and I do have things about me that are good. I do have things about me that are salvageable here.
Yep. You want to focus on what you're trying to create. Focus on what you want to happen. Because when you focus on the negative, your mindset is just going to become toxic and self-defeated, and you're not going to feel good about things. So focus on the things that you want. One of the things you could do is focus on your strengths, right? Try to take the perspective of being non-judgmental for yourself, and think about your accomplishments and the things that you have done that you're proud of, you know, and, you know, you may feel conflicted about it. Oh, you didn't do quite what you wanted. So you might be feeling like, well, I did this accomplishment, but I could have done better. Well, focus on what did go well, right? Because something went well. And we focus on the negative so often that we forget about the things that went well, right? Even if you're thinking about your breakup, a lot of things must have gone well for that person to want to date you and to get into an exclusive relationship with you. So even if you made mistakes, there were obviously some things that you did that were positive. So start with that, right?
And another great area to focus on too is self-gratefulness and gratefulness in general. It's a really cheesy topic. It is a really cheesy topic. One of my first therapists, actually in college, I remember he had me do this gratefulness activity where I had to write like 3 things I was grateful for every day. And I remember like not wanting to do it.
I'm not grateful for this activity.
I was like, this is cheesy. This is like, I'm not sure where this is going, but I did it, and honestly, at the end of it, I was like, I can totally see why he prescribed this to me. You know, and it's small. Just taking a couple minutes every day to think, okay, what am I grateful for? And the reason why I mentioned self-gratefulness is because sometimes if we're externalizing it, we're not really looking at ourselves and what we're doing for ourselves. We think, well, the weather was nice today, and you know, I guess someone said something nice to me, and you know, I guess I didn't burn the breakfast. You know, those are the 3 things you're grateful for. But think about the ways that you're already caring for yourself. Watching this video might be one of them. Might be watching self-help content, you know, doing things to improve yourself.
Yeah.
It could be brushing your teeth. It could be taking care of your hygiene and your health. It could be, you know, divulging with a friend, you know, having that time to connect with someone. So really think about gratefulness, but as far as things that you're doing and things that you're doing for yourself, you know, that can really boost your confidence of, man, I can take care of myself. I can do this. I can show up for myself.
Good
Those
point.
are great things.
Got one more for you?
We got one more, and this one might even be the most important, but the power of hope. Hope can bring so much confidence. And hope is something that I honestly think is magical. You know, if you believe that in the future things will get better, and it doesn't even have to be the distant future. It could be tomorrow. It could be, you know, the next couple hours, even tonight, you know, whenever. That hope can really help motivate you. You know, something to look forward to, something that you believe in. And hope is really tricky when you're depressed. Hope is really tricky when you're anxious and when you're feeling uncertain.
Yep.
With hope, it's really believing that you can change. It's really believing that things will get better even when you don't feel like it.
Yep.
You will be a lot less motivated to progress if you think it's going to be fruitless.
Yes, absolutely. And, you know, like people will get upset and say, oh, that's false hope. It's false hope that my ex is coming back. Well, first of all, you don't know what's going to happen in the future, okay? Second of all, many people are inspired by the idea of their ex coming back and wanting to be ready for that. And if that's where they have to start, I have no problem with that. We would love for you to ideally do it for yourself. But in the beginning especially, you're not there yet. You're doing it often because you want to re-attract your ex. But the beauty in what we teach and what we educate you guys on is that it works with your ex and it works with anybody else you're going to date, and it works to help you with yourself, even if you decide not to date anybody.
Right. And I just imagine if bodybuilders expected results the next day, you know, would there even be any bodybuilders?
Yeah.
You know, there's things that take time that you slowly etch at that eventually create, you know, what you were hoping for. So it's that hope paired with that discipline, paired with that dedication that can really, you know, have you living the life that you can imagine and dream.
Yeah.
So I know it sounds like sounds super cheesy, but
it's so true though.
real.
I mean, honestly, you should hear the people that talk to me on a daily basis. You can see how so many people are extremely motivated. If you think you're working hard, there's probably a lot of people out there outworking you, okay? And some of the stories that I hear are just unbelievable how hard people are working. They're doing the course, they're in therapy, they're reading books, they're getting active, they're eating better, they're doing all kinds of things with their life to truly transform it. It's really incredible.
Yeah. And hope, like I had said earlier, I really think it's something magical. I know Viktor Frankl, he talks about this in his book, Man's Search for Meaning. He talks about hope even in the most dire circumstances, you know, even in the most desperate circumstances. In his book, he talks about, you know, concentration camps and the Holocaust, and how even in those places, hope was useful.
Yeah, helped him survive. It's a good book.
Yeah.
I read it years ago. I was in college, I think.
Yeah.
But great book. You might want to check that one out.
Yeah. So hope and confidence, I think, go hand in hand.
Yeah, I agree. All right. So hopefully this one's been helpful to you. Hopefully.
Hopefully it's been helpful.
If you want to get our help personally, you can do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Skype. Coach Victoria is also available for Skype coaching.
I'm here whenever you'd like to chat.
Just click on her name on the top of the website to schedule with her. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.